So, as part of the key considerations for the drilling aspects of a geothermal collector, there are a number of key points that will have to be taken into account. The first one are the site-specific requirements. You remember the picture in the previous screen showed multiple drilling rigs working in a open site with very little infrastructure. You can see the picture here on the screen at the moment as an example of one of our other projects. And in this case, we are 14 meters below ground level, and we are actually installing a geothermal collector below the -2 basement slab of an 8-story building. So the space has been excavated down to the basement, the base of the basement level, and drilling operations have taken place alongside other working trades and requirements, notably excavation, piling, all happening simultaneously at the same time as the drilling operations. Therefore, this requires a considerable amount of planning. So the site-specific conditions and the actual operational implementation of geothermal solutions needs to be very carefully considered at the design risk assessment stage. Also, subsurface conditions need to be considered. For example, you need to be able to determine what type of bedrock you're going to drill, what are the most appropriate drilling methods to be used, and if there are any key items or key critical situations that you may have to deal with. For example, if the overburden material above the bedrock is of considerable thickness, there needs to be some planning and allowance made in the drilling operations to address that. But also, if there are any particular mitigating strategies that might have to be implemented or identified as part of that initial design risk assessment. So obviously there are site and operational environmental health and safety requirements relating to personnel, environmental considerations of any specific sites. For example, in the project that you can see on the screen there, one of the key issues is that whilst the bedrock drilling operations were completed in limestone bedrock, which is pretty known throughout the Dublin region, there was and there is an aquifer in that bedrock, and that aquifer is pressurized, so it generates. There are artesian groundwater conditions at the site that have to be dealt with. The other two key aspects relate to waste management and how the waste from the drilling operations is managed, and then obviously the borehole completion in line with the regulatory requirements. So if there are any regulations that are specific to completing borehole heat exchangers in terms of grouting and grouting materials selected, or indeed if these are water-to-water systems using open loop groundwater solutions, the actual completion of the borehole in terms of casing and grouting of that casing to achieve environmental protection need to be considered at an early stage.